So ladies, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Robyn Chester. I'm going to be talking to you about peace today. As a military spouse, a lot of things happen that are out of my control. And I have a tendency to want to make my circumstances control how I feel about things. And we don't necessarily consider being in the middle of a PCS or a deployment. These are things that don't bring us peace. These are things that our circumstances are always throwing us curveballs. New lockdown restrictions, when we've had a little taste of freedom and now we're locked down a little again. It can be pretty frustrating, and it can really steal our peace and cause us to be anxious and worry about things. So I want to start by reading in Philippians, which I had marked, and now there it is. Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 through 8, and you'll recognize these verses for sure. Actually, I'm going to start with verse 4. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. Let your gentleness be known to all men. The Lord is at hand. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. Finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things. The things which you learned and received and heard and saw in me, these do, and the God of peace will be with you. So you may have heard the saying that whatever we focus on, whatever we feed, whatever we water, that is what grows. And when we're in a situation where the circumstances can steal our peace, that's when we're focusing on those things. When Jesus asked Peter to step out of the boat and he stepped out onto the waves, as long as his eyes were on Jesus, he stayed up and was walking on the water. And as soon as he noticed the waves, he took his focus off Christ. He put his focus on the waves, the circumstances, the deadly situation he was in. He began to sink. And that is kind of the situation that we are in with our peace. If we are focused on Jesus, if we are focused on God and the promises that he has left for us, then we can have peace in the midst of the storm. So much so that others can notice and wonder, how are you calm? How are you handling this? And you have an opportunity to say, it is not by my strength. It is because I am focusing on the Prince of Peace, the one who gives me peace, who gives me strength. And in John 14, we're reminded of that again. Jesus has just finished telling the disciples that he is the way, the truth, and the life. He promised a helper to come. And then we get to where he says, peace I leave with you. Peace I give to you. Not as the world gives, do I give to you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. So Jesus is leaving peace, not as the world gives us. Our peace that the world gives us is dependent on our circumstances. It's dependent on what is going on around us. And if we're focusing on those things all the time, not through the lens of God's promises, our circumstances may not change, But if we are focused on Christ, he will carry us through those circumstances and give us peace and give us rest that we need so much. So I want to encourage you to focus on Christ. If you're feeling discouraged, if you're feeling hopeless, if you're feeling disappointed and even grieving about what Christmas might look like, as I have been recently, do what my husband reminds me often when I get that way, is you need to be in the Word. Focus on his promises. They are there, and he is true.